Hey guys, Bic Mitchum here, and today I have two guests for you guys. I've got Mos Andy from Mos Andy's Cantina, and I have Stew Dog from Stew Dog, and we are gonna chat about Battlefront 2. And honestly, I think we're gonna start right with the downloadable content timeline from Battlefront 1 and kind of make a little comparison. So Andy, what do you think so far about the DLC for Battlefront 2 as it would match up with Battlefront 2015? Are we on pace? Are we coming up short? What are your thoughts about that?
I definitely think we're coming up short slightly. Obviously, there was a little bit more content at the start of the game, so you have to take that into account. But based on the fact that we've somewhat been promised or given this idea that we are going to get a lot more content, it's definitely lacking. And I think a lot of people are just kind of sitting here waiting, like, what's going on? Like, if Battlefront 1 was kind of hated on for the fact that, it didn't have as much content, it kind of puts Battlefront 2 to shame when it's outdoing it in that aspect. So it's definitely lacking in the downloadable content, I'd say.
Yeah, because we had it's quite similar. It was released on November 17th in 2015, and then we had the Jakku DLC, which was free. And then we didn't get DLC till Outer Rim in March. But I think by the start of the year, we had an idea of when the DLC was coming, at least. But Stu, what kind of, what do you think about the, do you think that the progression system overhaul is kind of the problem here, that we aren't seeing any content?
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying, like, on Twitter and everything, isn't it? But, it's been like 5 months since the first Season 1 DLC, and we're not even going to get, like, any news until early May, so, like, what the hell's going on? Like, it can't take that long. And I'm pretty sure Season 2 is just going to be, like, one map and two new heroes, like the first one as well, so it can't be 5 months, just for the progression overhaul, whatever.
It was announced that the DLC, because it was free, that in order to protect the shareholders of EA, they can only release information within the relevant quarter. So, like, basically they can't speak about anything that's more than 3 months away.
To be honest, I think the problem is, like, Battlefront kind of got this reputation for being, like, the developers responding to people on Twitter and stuff, and people kind of had this idea that they're really kind of engaged with the community. And obviously they might have these restrictions based on shareholders, and obviously the fact that it's Star Wars in general, it's such a massive franchise, they have to be careful what they release and when. But I think at the end of the day, the game is, if not already, it's on the road to pretty much just dying out. And it kind of surprises me that they're still kind of backing this idea that we have to be, conservative regarding what kind of information they want to release and when they want to release content. And I just don't think that's the right approach for the game to, like, succeed regarding, downloadable content and stuff like that, because they're just losing so much of the fan base. So many people have just dropped out of the game. When you look at games, like, I know it's kind of generic to compare it, but if you look at something like Fortnite, I know that isn't linked to a major franchise, but at the end of the day, they're bringing out new content pretty much every single week, if not every couple of days. And it just kind of makes you wonder why Battlefront can't just kind of get past that phase or talk to EA. I don't know who's making the calls and who's calling the shots or whatever, but one of them needs to kind of just decide, we need to kind of just get over this idea of delaying everything and actually just start pumping out content, because otherwise there's going to be nobody to play it when we actually do.
Right, because you see there's about 4 months from Jakku to Outer Rim, but then we get a solid, like, every 3 months where we get, Bespin in June, Death Star September, Rogue One December. The way we're going, I don't know if we're going to see anything like that. And then even, well, it's irrelevant, really. I think the VR mission, like, I don't really know. I don't even know if VR is that still a thing?
Well, yeah, I think, if you actually look at what content has been released so far, the Season 1 was cool, but realistically, there wasn't actually that much content. It was like a map or two and a couple, like two heroes or something, wasn't it? I can't quite remember.
Yep.
And if you think about it, there was a lot more they could have done out of that. They could have brought in 4 heroes and a couple of different maps and different missions and stuff like that. And I just think they're very, as I said before, quite conservative as to what they're actually releasing, and they kind of, it's as if they're expecting like a medal for releasing like a new map or like a new skin for a hero, and it's just like at the end of the day, it's not really that hard, is it?
Yeah. What are you thinking, Stu?
Yeah, I've just been thinking, it's not even just the Season 1 maps and stuff. It's like things like stats and private matches that they said like early on when the game released that it would be added later on. It's still not here. And all they've got to show for it is a new progression overhaul, fixing their own mistake, and then just adding in old skins from the last game, like the Rhodian and stuff like that. And then the new skins we're getting is stuff like Bandage Chewy. Like, does it really take 5 months to come up with something like that?
Yeah, just to pick up on there, actually, Stu, like, it's amazing how what we have now literally could have just been what the game begun as. Like, there isn't that much we've been given. Like, what we have now in Battlefront 2 should have been how the game begun. Like, all the skins and whatnot.
Yeah, like, I couldn't agree more with you guys, just because I feel like the game... I feel like if it was released 2 years from the original, that it probably could have been delayed a couple months to kind of get it all right. Like, I know they had to meet deadlines. They said they had to have it out before The Last Jedi, but I don't know. And I felt like with the progression system overhaul that maybe it was time to kind of call in some more developers to kind of like help with this project, so that some could work on the progression, and then we can also get some new content. But I'm not really qualified to make those decisions, but I don't know how you guys feel about that. Like, could we have seen maybe some more resources brought in to try to keep steady content going?
I feel like the developers care, but EA don't care enough about the game, since at the time they got rid of microtransactions. So at that point, they couldn't really make any more money from it with free DLC and everything. So I feel like it wasn't in their best interest to actually, make the game better and hire more staff.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think my opinions might go against the majority, but personally, at this point, I'm not that keen on DICE taking the Battlefront series forwards. If they do develop a Battlefront 3, obviously that's a long way away. We've still got Battlefront 2 to actually develop in general, but I don't think DICE necessarily are the right company for this type of game. Like, essentially a first-person or third-person shooter. If you look at games like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, stuff like that, personally, I don't think those games keep me engaged for a long period of time. Maybe like a month or two, they're pretty good. They do well. They look amazing. Like, props to DICE for creating it the way they do, how visually it's so amazing. But I don't necessarily think that the blame should go on EA. I think that DICE definitely do deserve a bit of the blame, just based on the way that they make the game not that kind of continuously engaging. I don't really know how to say it, but I don't know if you know what I mean.
I kind of have a different opinion, honestly. I feel like EA needs to loosen the reins on DICE a little bit, and kind of either, because I think DICE are doing what they can with what they have, and they're like really pushing, and with the pressure from EA to overhaul the progression system, I'd say like that would have been the time for EA to maybe say, okay, we need to invest a little more money in here, get some more developers in, so we can kind of, like, I haven't played Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4, but I can comment that you're right, it does look, they do look beautiful, but I can't really comment on the gameplay. But as a Battlefront player, I feel like just watching how like the communication's limited, and how just the whole thing about investors, like I don't buy the investor thing. Like I feel like the investor is us, as the people playing the game, is the main investor that EA should be worried about, because we are the revenue source. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Stu, can you maybe...
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for DICE in a way, because from the first game, they were just trying to tweak everything that people had problems with. Like the gameplay, people said it was too arcadey, so they switched it up, trying to make it more like something like Battlefield. And, they had the season pass, and people were complaining about it, so now they have free content. But now people want to go back to the season pass because, like, the patches for content are so dry. So even though I don't really like the new gameplay for this game, but I think it was just DICE trying to suit what people wanted, and yeah, I just feel like they can't really win whatever they do. But yeah, for me, I just personally don't really like what they've done with the game so far.
Yeah, your point about suiting what people want, it kind of runs into my next the next thing I wanted to bring up, and that's the campaign. And I've been reading stats about online gameplay and how the strictly offline gamer, sorry, is kind of dying out, and it actually makes up for about 20% of the gaming population play strictly offline games. So should DICE, we'll get you started, Andy, with should they get rid of the campaign and stop working on it and just call it what it is and really focus on the online gameplay?
I think your kind of statistic about how many people actually are playing offline these days is interesting, because obviously a lot of people complain from the first game saying, you know, we need some kind of single player offline content, which is fair enough, but I don't think the actual campaign they developed was the right thing. Like, it was cool. Like, it's not a bad thing, you know. It wasn't particularly long. It wasn't particularly interesting. It was pretty predictable, but it was definitely cool for them to add that in. You know, it definitely added something more than Battlefront 1 had. However, I don't think they should bother too much about carrying it on when the majority of people really just kind of want something fun to do online rather than offline.
Right. And those statistics are the strictly offline gamer. Like, it would be someone like us that would play mostly online, but then would play the campaign here and there. But like it almost seems like they are trying to cater, like, you know, talking about arcade mode and I mean, I even heard that, like, even a while ago they were talking about the potential of putting Starfighter Assault into arcade mode. Like, I just feel like that's kind of a waste of resources, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, I think they should carry it on, because don't they have two different studios working on it? So if one studio focuses on campaign, and then I think it's like, who was it? Oh,
It was the people that made
the campaign.
Yeah, it was the people that made.
Was it Motive? No.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, I think. Or no,
Yeah.
was it the company that did Dead Space, or am I mistaken?
So I think it was Motive though, but yeah, Motive. If Motive just focuses on the campaign and DICE can focus on, you know, online multiplayer content, I don't see why they shouldn't carry it on.
That's a good point.
Because some people enjoy it. I mean, I personally don't, but I know probably a lot of people in the community did enjoy the campaign.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, it's definitely cool. Like, me personally, I don't think it's not something I would go back and play again. Like, it was more just like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of just get it done. It's kind of like Call of Duty campaign, like, except for like the original games like Call of Duty 5 and stuff like that. Nobody really goes back and plays the campaign twice. Most people don't play it at all, but they'll just play it because it's there and it's like something to do when your internet goes down or something like that.
Right, that's true. I definitely, at those times when the servers are down, even the odd time you'll throw on an arcade mode or a campaign on a game just for the sake of playing it.
Yeah, even just like kind of like, if you look at the original Battlefront 2, how you could go into, I can't remember exactly what it was, the details, but you know, it was like you were playing online, but it was just against AI. Like, something like that would be good, because the kind of offline, online content that they have, where you just go up against so many enemies or whatever, I don't really think that's that fun, to be honest.
Well, they have, isn't it like a skirmish mode? Is that what you're kind of referring to? Like something like offline against AI? Because Battlefront 1, I feel like they struggled with that to make the AI. I don't know. I didn't enjoy skirmish mode at all.
Yeah.
I rarely played it.
The hard mode compared to the easy mode, it was just like the same, you know, they did the same stuff, they just increased the damage. Like, that's the only thing they changed.
Right. So what do you guys think of the latest update and just the idea of like revolving or limited time game modes? So Stu, you want to kick that one off?
Yeah, I think it's cool to get an idea of what people want, like having limited time modes, and also if people don't like it, it won't stay there, so it won't split the player base as much. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to have it.
But do they have enough content in the game to even warrant that? Like, why not leave it and just kind of, so there's a little more variability? That's kind of that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I think the content is there. I think it's just it's a lack of modes, but you know, jetpack cargo. I didn't really enjoy that, so I'm kind of glad it didn't stay. But it's just things like that. If people don't enjoy it, it's best to just have it limited time instead of having something that people will never play.
Did you guys try Ewok Hunt?
Yeah,
I haven't tried that yet.
I've played it a few times, and I kind of agree with Stu about how like jetpack cargo it wasn't that good, but it was quite fun. But I don't think a lot of people, like you said, Bic, that are like calling for these game modes to be in the game permanently. I don't think that would help at all, because then they would just be classed as boring like everything else. Like I feel like if they were in there for a week or two each, and then they rotated it, they didn't have like a month in between, but like if they just had each 2 weeks having a new type of game mode, it's enough time for you to play it and enjoy it, and also not enough time for you to get bored of it. So I think that would be like a pretty good answer to keeping the game fresh.
Because I don't mind the DLC, like the Bespin DLC, for instance, where you would have like it would change the game mode after each, but I don't feel like we have that kind of content to warrant like a game mode change and we don't have enough of maps of one planet to like kind of warrant that either. But I kind of like that. I don't like, how do you guys feel about that, like DLC having like new maps, new game modes, new heroes, and then having like this kind of switching of the game, like you go to play Bespin and then you play Sabotage and then Blast, you play around. Well, nobody played, what was it, Fighter Squadron?
Yeah, I was pretty dead.
But it was I kind of thought that kept people engaged as opposed to playing the same game mode over and over again.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. Me personally, I wasn't that keen on that, just because normally if I play a game mode, I'm choosing that game mode for a reason. But I do know that a lot of people do prefer it in that sense, where you're constantly switching it up. One thing which I think they need to do is, like I said, I haven't played Battlefront that much in the past few months, but I played it recently. And one thing which I noticed was playing the same game mode back to back on the same map, but you just switch sides or whatever.
Yes.
Like stuff like that, it's just so like draining. Like you don't want to play that same map again. Like I know some people might have the advantage if they're the Empire or the Rebels or whatever, and you want to be on the other team. But at the same time, I just think they should just switch it around each game. Like it should just change to the next map and the next team or whatever, because playing the same map over and over again can just get so repetitive, especially when you have, upwards of 4 or 5 minutes in between each game, just trying to wait for the game lobby to start and stuff like that. That's definitely something they need to look at fixing, because being able to play constantly is why some games do so well. Like I said, I don't want to keep coming back to it, but if you look at Fortnite, you can constantly play. Even when you die, you leave the game, and within 60 seconds, you're in another game. On Battlefront, if I'm trying to play Heroes vs. Villains, which is supposed to be like a quick and fun game mode, literally, I actually timed it. It took 6 minutes for the lobby to fill up and for the game to actually start. When there was 3 versus 3, it could have just started the game then, but it waited until 2 extra people joined, so it was 4v4, and just stuff like that. Like, they just need to fix that, because people don't have the attention span, myself included, to just sit there for like 5 or 6 minutes waiting for the game to start. Like, that's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah, I want to add to that. In Fortnite, the lobby waiting time is like 7 to 10 seconds or something like that. And for Heroes and Villains, like if it's looking for like 1 or 2 more people in the whole of Battlefront searching for games, like as Andy said, it takes like 6 minutes and then another minute on top just to like start the game. It's just too much time, man.
Yeah, and you see it like sitting there for a few minutes. It says it's waiting for 1 player, and then it says you're waiting for 2 players, and then you're like, okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah, then that's the thing. Then people start leaving, and then it's like you've literally sat there for 5 minutes for everyone to leave the lobby anyway.
No, I agree. It definitely should. I don't know. Is it a concurrent player problem? Like, are we like I don't.
I doubt that's the thing, man. I just think it's bad matchmaking. Like, there's definitely enough people to start a Heroes vs. Villains game 4v4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't take 6 minutes.
that's the thing. Like with the bigger game modes, Galactic Assault or whatever, you know, that just, even if it isn't full, it will start anyway. Like you can have so many people not in the game, and the game will start anyway. And that's what they need to do, or they need to just, like I said, I don't know if it is something to do with the matchmaking, but they need to fix that and make it very quick, because that is just like a market in general. People love speed. Like humans, I know it gets quite deep, but humans, like everything, people want stuff quickly and fast all the time, and they want lots of information quickly, and they want lots of action quickly. But you can't get that with Battlefront, because you're literally sitting there waiting, and it just takes too much time. I think fixing that with these time game modes, the jetpack cargo, you know, that is an example of like a quick game mode. People can have like quick action, but even then you still had to wait like a couple of minutes for the lobby to fill up and for the game to actually start. So I don't know.
I was streaming with Josh yesterday, and he was out of commission for about, it was somewhere between 20 and 26 minutes, just because he had to he'd get to the main menu, he'd have to leave the group, he'd join the group, and then he'd sit in the queue, and then our game would end, and he would start to get in there, and then he would freeze in the loading screen, he'd reset the application. Like, it was kind of like really getting out of control.
Yeah.
Couple more things here. What are some new skins that you guys want to see?
Stu, you can go first.
I'm just trying to think now. God damn. I'm trying to think of which character. I want to see Bespin Luke. I think that would be cool. Damn.
I want to see.
Oh wait, we have Bespin Luke, don't we? I take that back. Oh wait, no, we got Hoth Luke. Never mind.
Yeah, I want to see Chewbacca with C-3PO on his back. I don't know why they haven't added that in. Everybody would buy that, in my opinion.
I think more layer skins as well, like Endor layer.
Yeah, I want to see Darth Maul with his hood. I think that'd be quite cool. Because we saw him, he fights, I believe in the Phantom Menace at the start, he fights with his hood up. So if he can do it there, then, well, if Yoda can get a hood with his ears poking out, I think Darth Maul can get a hood, seeing as it actually featured in the film.
Oh, I want to see a prequel Palpatine as well. I think that'd be cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, or like
a season or something.
Yeah, or something like maybe like at the start of Revenge of the Sith, when he first obviously fights Mace Windu and he's got the red robes but no hood and stuff. Yeah, that kind of outfit would look really cool.
Do you guys think there's Clone Wars DLC in the works right now? Do you think we're gonna see that in the next 3 months?
No, I think it's gonna be a solo season and everyone's gonna be disappointed and quit on Battlefront. I think Clone Wars will be season 3, but by that point I think it'll be too late. Like the game will have just died.
Yeah, I somewhat agree. I don't, based on the fact that we don't have any kind of information, like no, I know maybe they're choosing to do that, but no kind of teasers or anything relating to the idea that we're getting Clone Wars content. It just baffles me. Like the whole thing about Battlefront 2 was that people wanted Clone Wars content, and yeah, they put in a little bit at the start, and we got Darth Maul and Yoda and stuff like that, but just everybody just wants like General Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, or well, if they can put that in or not, but you know, people just want these things, and it's just like, I don't understand why they're not focusing on what we want. Instead, not that I'm complaining, but instead they're making Ewok Hunt, which realistically is not gonna like encourage thousands of people to come back to the game. But you know, if they brought in Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous, and they brought in some kind of Order 66 game mode or something like that, just literally stuff like that would just bring in so many players. Like I would be back on the game in seconds if I heard that there was something like that. And I just don't understand why they're not focusing on that sort of stuff. Instead, as Shu said, they're probably going to just give us a solo season, which realistically nobody really cares about, because I'm not even that hyped for the film in general. So
well, what can you get? What can you get from the game? Like, there's like, we already have Lando, we already have Han, we have Chewie.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're just gonna have new skins for them.
Yeah, exactly. Just some skins based on their characters in the new film, I guess. But that just seems completely pointless if they do that.
I was just thinking as well, because with in Battlefront 1 they had what 4 to 5 maps every 3 months, and I know that was a paid DLC. But if we even had like just one map with 2 new heroes every couple of months or so, maybe even 3 months, like people would still be, you know, they'd still come back for more. But it's just like, you know, it's coming up to 5 months and we haven't even had news yet about season 2. It's just ridiculous, man.
An option I think that wouldn't be too bad is if they had a solo DLC, they released new skins for Han, Lando, Chewie, etc. But then they added like Grievous and Obi-Wan or something as the new playable heroes. I know that doesn't fit necessarily, but it kind of shows their devotion to the fan base in a way, because nobody wants. I don't think anyone's asking for the new solo DLC at all. But even some of the new characters as playable heroes in Battlefront, I don't think that would pique anyone's interest.
I feel like EA had some influence in making the solo season DLC just because, you know, it's coming out at the same time as the film is. But yeah, I don't know if that's completely DICE's decision or not.
Yeah, it's definitely that is the problem, as we were kind of talking about earlier, about, you know, Star Wars being such a big franchise. Everything they're doing, it's like they're just trying to make money. And obviously I imagine they hate the fact that they had to make this game free for people to buy it, like content-wise. But at the same time, they will do anything they can to promote the brand and to make money, because EA, their only goal, in my eyes, is to keep the rights to Star Wars. And they know the only way they can do that is if they promote the Star Wars franchise and make money for that franchise. Otherwise, they're going to lose the rights to it and they'll give it to somebody else. So, as you were saying, Stu, like, they're just focusing on stuff like the solo season, if they are doing that, mainly because of the film's release.
Yeah, I have no high hopes for a solo season, unfortunately. And just the movie itself, like, I don't see any advertising. I mean, there's the trailer came out, but I don't see anything on TV. I don't see anything anywhere. There's no hype. There's no build up. I think TLJ kind of flopping is going to really hurt Solo.
Yeah, I think that I think they're using it as some. Well, I don't want to get off topic, but they're using it as like a test, because they haven't really advertised it, like, except for a couple of trailers, like you said. I've seen literally nothing. Like, when The Last Jedi was coming out, I saw posters just everywhere. I literally saw stuff everywhere, and I haven't seen anything for Solo. I don't think I've even watched the latest trailer. Like, I'm that uninterested in what this film is going to be. Obviously, I'll go and see it, but, you know, it's kind of like a metaphor for Battlefront. Just kind of a lack of interest and a lack of content.
I think Star Wars in general is just kind of going downhill after The Last Jedi, to be honest. Like, it just seems like Disney are milking Star Wars for everything it has. Like, I see a lot of comments on YouTube just like saying that they were huge Star Wars fans, but now they're just not really even hyped for it anymore. Me included, to be honest. Like, before, I would like, I went to the midnight release of The Last Jedi. That's how like excited I was. But for Solo, like, I probably won't even see it like the first week. I'm just not hyped at all. Same with Battlefront. I'm just not interested anymore.
It's supply and demand, though. Honestly, like, we waited how many years for? Well, I know the Phantom Menace wasn't everybody's favorite, but like the hype was insane. And then you got, like, you know, every 3 years or 2.5 years or whatever it was, another one came out. And then we waited, you know, was it 10 more years for The Force Awakens? 12 years or something? Like,
10 years.
But if Disney was saying they wanted to make a Star Wars movie or spin-off over the next, like, 10 plus years, like, you're just gonna kill it. No, there's gonna be no hype.
Yeah, I feel like Disney they're trying to turn Star Wars into Marvel. You know, with just like loads of different characters, new films every year. But I don't know. It just feels like they're trying to pander to the I don't know, not older audiences, but like just, you know, original trilogy fanboys and stuff like that. Because you don't see any kind of content in the prequel era anymore. Even with like Battlefront, there's so much original trilogy, even though there's probably more content they could use elsewhere.
That's what I mean. Also, it's weird because it's like the kind of demographic of people that are playing this game, yeah, there are those, 30 and 40-year-olds, like, plus, that have complained about Battlefront, saying, like, there wasn't enough of this, there wasn't enough of that, and all that. But realistically, the actual demographic for this game is kids. Like, mostly people playing this game are kids. Obviously, I'm not saying we're kids, but you know what I mean? Like, there is... majority of the people playing the game are kids, so they're not really thinking about it as deeply as like a hardcore Star Wars fan should be. And that's the problem, because DICE are like trying so hard to create something that meets the needs of a Star Wars fan, but actually they just need to make a good game in the Star Wars universe and we will all be happy, I think. And the fact that they don't have all the kind of prequel content is just like, well, like I said before, it just kind of amazes me that they haven't done that yet. So much stuff available. They could do a season for each film, like, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith could be a season each, and there's 3, 4, 5 characters from each film that they could bring in, but they just still haven't. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they need to focus a little more on gameplay. I did have a point here to make, just kind of to talk about the graphics and sound, and how I've talked to you guys individually before, and it's all, if I were to ask what's the best thing about the game, I think that's kind of the the feel of just actually being within like a Star Wars like universe. Is like the graphics are great, the sound's great, like you throw that music on, like it feels great, but you go to take step one and the gameplay just you kind of feel it lagging behind. Like games like Minecraft are kind of stealing the show, and like look at the graphics. They're so simple.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you can't deny how amazing visually and sound wise the game actually is. Like, you do feel like you're in the Star Wars universe, but like you said, just the actual play style and just the way it is only appeals to what I was talking about earlier, which is a younger audience who don't need kind of a constant kind of, I don't know, I can't think of the words, but like an older audience will want, people like us, which are actually analyzing the game for what it is, want more than just kind of basic A to B, objectives and kind of average progression systems. Like, that's only appealing to the younger audience at this point.
I feel like the progression system in the first game was perfect. Like, I don't see why they had to change that, and just, yeah.
And then
I agree with that.
They even added the HUT contracts along the way too, which was kind of like...
Yeah, at that point it was perfect, the progression system. I don't see why they didn't just add that back, but...
I remember feeling excited to rank up, like, in Battlefront 1.
Yeah.
Like, I've said this in a few podcasts before, but it's worth noting is that, when you hit rank 30, 31, 32, there is always something that popped up that it unlocked. And, like, even if you could take... now the progression system's okay, where you rank up as you go. It gives you a really nice, overlay on the screens. Boom, you're level 55 officer. And then at the end, it kind of shows your, each character you use, like Vader, and it shows a little bar to show his progression. Like, I feel like each time one of those level up, like even at the end of the match, it's like, hey, Vader, you're level 7 with Vader, you unlocked... I know there's not really Vader skins. It's a terrible example, but you know what I mean? Like a new skin or a new star card. Like it should, like, there should be those pop-ups, so it's like excited. Then it's like, okay, now I want to use Vader. Like, I want to get Vader again so I can try this new ability, but it's...
Exactly. Just the credit system, point to credit system from the previous game was just so much better. You play well in a game, that converts to credits. The better you play, the more credits you earn, the more credits you have, the more stuff you can buy. Like, it's pretty simple, straightforward, but it worked. I don't understand why they changed it. Like, I know they were trying to like merge it around this new class system, but as they've now done with the revamped system, it is pretty much just what we had in Battlefront 1, but with the classes. So they should have just done this from the start.
Do they still have crates? Because I haven't actually played it since the new progression overhaul.
Just the crates, or there's a daily crate that gives you credits, I think.
Oh, so they do still have crates. Yeah, I think that's what ruined everything for me. It's just the crate. I know you can get like what was it, crystals or something that you can rank up like specific cards you want with, but it's just so much longer, and you just want to, if you want to rank up one specific thing, it just makes it so much harder and more. it's just not fun.
Well, the thing I mentioned earlier about being excited to rank up, even in this game, if you like rank up a star card from, you know, common to whatever the next level is, I forget the name of it, but you end up like you add like, you know, 0.2% faster, you know, turn rate on it, like Starfighter Assault or something like that. Like what?
Yeah.
When I get something new and I rank up, I want to see it. Like I don't want to have my fire rate increase by 3%, or I don't want to see like, you know, I mean the further range on Maul's like lightsaber when he throws it, that's cool, or Vader, like but when it comes to like, you know, increasing your damage by 2% or something like that, I'm not excited to rank up my star cards. Like there's a huge there's a huge difference from a base card to an epic, but along the way it's such a small increase that it doesn't feel like I'm getting it.
Yeah, and it's so costly as well, just for that, like, yeah, as you said, like 2% turning speed increase. Like, who the fuck cares? I don't want to spend like 90 crafting parts, whatever it costs, to like change this fucking pointless little thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it's also that kind of thing. Obviously, it depends what skill level people have, but you know, without trying to sound cocky or anything, I've always found the Battlefront games easy. Like, I can come top every game if I really want to. And it's that thing, even if I have no star cards, I literally don't care if somebody has max star cards. They're not going to outplay me unless they get, like, you know, an advantage and I can't do anything about it. The star cards don't really make that much difference. That it's not like, as you said, in the previous game, you know, you would rank up and then you'd earn a new item and it's like, oh, this gun is really good. I want to use this gun. I've got to level 50. Now I can, you know. It was like, instead, it's just you spend all this time to really not get that much of an advantage. And if you play the game enough to actually earn those increased upgrades and whatnot, then you're going to be good enough that you don't actually need them anyway. So it's literally just like a lose-lose situation.
Right, so we kind of got a little off topic there, but I wanted to, since we're kind of on a time frame here, let's I wanted to just the last point, and I know Andy, you kind of touched on this already, so I'll get Stu to start. Is just what kind of things from this game would you need to continue making Battlefront content on your channel? Because you guys are both, when I met both you guys were avid Battlefront players, and you were both making content for your channel on a weekly basis. But you guys have both kind of lost the passion for the game. So what kind of things could DICE do to bring you two back to the Battlefront?
Well, I know everyone's expecting me to say like private matches so I can make cinematics, but that wasn't the only thing I did on my channel. I'd say just changing the gameplay back to the old version, because I can't enjoy a game of Battlefront 2 now. Like, after one game, I'm done with it. I'm tired. Like, Battlefront 1, the gameplay was so much... I know people said it was arcadey, but I just felt like it was so much more fun, you know, jump packing around and stuff like that. But yeah, just if they changed the gameplay, I'd play it a lot more, get more clips that I could use for, I don't know, potential epic moments videos or shit like that.
Yeah, there's no epic, like, when you look at epic moments from Battlefront 1 and epic moments from Battlefront 2, like, Battlefront 1 epic moments montages were so fun to watch, and so, like, there's so many cool things you could do. But I think, to kind of touch on your point about the gameplay, is that if you were to sit with a timer and time all the amount of time you spent after you died getting back to the action, I think that's, you know, too...
I think it's the lack of jump packs. It just takes so much longer having to run everywhere.
And I think spawning on your partner is kind of the big one there, too, is that you can't just jump back in. Like, what is the point of your group? Like, you have 4 people. Like, what's... I know
that as well. Like, what is that squad system? Like, you don't want to play with people that you don't even know. It's like, even if you're in a party, it won't let you spawn on them. Like, what is the point of even being in a party?
Just to quickly say, I think if I had to pick one thing that would bring me back to Battlefront and encourage me to make content on it, I would say being rewarded for being good. As I've said, I keep coming back to Fortnite, but on Fortnite, if you're good, you get the victory royale, you get credit. Like, you know, if you're a good player, you kind of are recognized for that. On Battlefront, I can play it. I cannot play for 3 months, come back on for a day, and be top of the leaderboard, but it means nothing. Like, I don't get anything from that. Like, if there was a competitive scene on Battlefront, like an actual, some kind of competitive game mode where, you know, you had to achieve something to actually be able to play that, and you could only play against good players, it would definitely encourage me to play, because sometimes when you're too, I know it sounds cocky, but sometimes when you're too good at a game, it's just not fun. Particularly if you're not actually getting rewarded for being good at a game. You know, if you're the best at Fortnite in the world, you're obviously going to get rewarded because everyone's going to see that, everyone's going to appreciate that. If you're the best at Battlefront in the world, it means nothing. Like, nobody cares. Like, there's no hype around that, and like I said, there's no kind of reward for being good at the game. So some kind of competitive game mode I think would be cool, or just something in general that would maybe bring some hype back to Battlefront, and then being recognized for being a good player would definitely encourage me to play more and at least make more content on it.
Yeah, touching on that, I think statistics in the first game, that was actually quite a big factor in why I enjoyed it so much. Like, I could see like how I was progressing with like KD and stuff like that. If it wasn't where I wanted it to be, I'd play more, you know, try and get it higher, and it made me more competitive. But in this game, like, I have no idea how I'm doing. Like, I don't even really care, because like, I can't compare myself to others. I know you shouldn't really do that in life, but you know, it's fun for gaming. But yeah, it's just, I don't feel like I'm progressing at all, and I'm not even having that much fun. So I just don't feel like there's any real point.
Just to quickly touch on what you're saying as well, it's like, essentially, when you're playing first-person shooters, yeah, you can play a game like you're in it for the fun and stuff, but most people, I'd say older people, like sort of 16 plus, and definitely a lot of the younger players now, they're playing because they're playing to win. Like, you're in it to win it. Like, you know, you're not playing, you know, to win the game is fun. To be the best is fun. And as you say, there's not even like statistics and stuff that you can look at. Like, your KD, that's just a simple thing. But I remember back in the day playing Battlefront 1, if you were streaming it, people would be like, they'd come and be like, oh, what's your KD? And you'd be like, oh, you know, 3.6 or something like that. And they'd be like, oh, that's sweet, that's awesome. You know, it actually felt cool for like being good at the game. But like you said, without something simple like stats and stuff like that to track how you're doing in comparison to other players, it's just a bit pointless to really do well.
Oh yes, one more thing. I can't remember if it was King Dennis or whoever. I don't know if it was a tweet or someone talking in a video, but I do remember someone at DICE saying that they are tracking our stats, waiting for when they can implement the stats into the game. Like, if they have the stats there already, and they've got it all there, like, why not just? I feel like they're just doing it so people that aren't that good at the game don't feel bad about themselves. Like,
Yeah,
I think that's the thing,
probably
what it is.
Because it's a young audience. Like, one thing, all right, and somebody clip this, because this has got to be the most ironic thing and the most hilarious thing about Battlefront, which just identifies that it is for a young audience. You get rewarded for dying. When you die, you get 100 points for sacrifice. Like, what is that?
Yeah,
when do you play a game and get rewarded for dying? Like, that just knows, like, it's just embarrassing. Like, that is literally, I was looking at that the other day when I came back on the game after months. I was thinking, I'm literally getting points for dying. Like, I don't know. It amazes me that they would actually add something like that, but it's also kind of just embarrassing.
I think that's for the players that are like want to that aren't as good at the game, so they can get heroes faster. But I don't
True,
know.
but at the same time, to counter that, it's like, if you want to get heroes faster, then get good at the game. Like, it's the same with Fortnite. Like, if you want to win, then play the game and you'll get good at it. Like, you can't. There's nothing on Fortnite where, like, if you're not that good, then they might like just let you have a win now and then. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to play the game to be the best.
There's people that play for months and have no wins. But to kind of cap off what we're saying is that, like, I don't think that DICE really recognizes the importance of the statistics. Because if you were to go right now and you were to look at all the Fortnite streamers right now, there would be a statistic in probably 80% of their titles. How many wins, how many kills, you know, like, it's just, that's kind of the standard that games are kind of setting right now, is that, like, you know, in the YouTube world, people want to watch a really good player, so what better way to show how good you are than to say, here's my KD, here's how many kills I have, here's how many matches I've won, and then that's kind of
Also,
right.
like one quick final point, just for me at least, I'd say one big problem I think with DICE at the moment is they don't know who their audience are. Like they're struggling to identify what they want to put out and for who, because obviously younger kids are going to want something completely different to us who are, you know, late teens, early 20s or whatever. So I definitely think finding their actual audience is going to be something they need to try and do in the next coming months.
Good point. Stu, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
I think I've said everything on my mind right now. Yeah, I think they just need to add more content. Basically, that's all they need to do, because they can't really change the gameplay and stuff like that now. It's just all about content and, you know, having people come back to the game, not getting stale, people not getting bored. Yeah,
exactly.
And adding content people want is the main thing.
Yeah, and just pump it out. Just pump it out every couple of weeks. Just stick something new out. If they have to work 24 hours a day, so be it. It will make the game great again. So just go for it. That's all I'd say.
I think that my final point, I think, will be about, you said get as much out as possible, but even if it was one thing every week or 2 or 3 weeks that was quality, like Ewok Hunt, to me, unfortunately, I gave Ewok Hunt probably a 5 out of 10. I think it's unique. I think it's interesting, but the replay value goes down exponentially every time you play it. And to be that first Stormtrooper dead, I'm immediately like, you want to be the Stormtroopers. You want to win the game essentially, and then at the end, everyone's becoming Ewoks so that they can just take out everybody else. It's just I don't know. There's just one map, and I don't know. There's just not enough to it. But I think that quality moving forward needs to like the skin's great, like Hoth Luke, but it was like 3 weeks to complete the Hoth Luke when they originally put that out. Like, it was one thing a week, and that's just like what a great skin, but like, come on, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it should have just been a skin per week.
Like, and that'd be great. And make the challenge like more like of a challenge. Like, honestly, like, getting 10 kills or 100 kills or something. Like, it's just not. Anyways, so well, thanks for joining, guys. That's kind of like an interesting. I think it went pretty well for not doing a multiple podcast.
Yeah, multiple guest podcast. Fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys again. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, see you guys.
See you later. Bye.